Alright, so welcome back for another public test build patch notes video. Today with a very interesting crossover featuring The Walking Dead in the 9.1.0 patch note setup. Featuring Rick Grimes and Mycock, as well as many nice new changes to both killers and survivors, some notably being the fact that there is a brand new survivor item as well as the keys and maps being reworked, on top of the fact that some many nice needed buffs for the killers are coming in, such as Pyramid Head and the Pig. Yes, the Pig, no gimmicks, no jokes, no secret nerfs, just pig buff. So without yapping too much, I'm going to be doing my usual stuff where I give you as much as I can and show you as much as I can compared to the old and new, so that way you can get a good understanding of everything that's happening. So let's get into it. So today, unlike usual, we're going to be starting off with the brand new content, such as the brand new survivors, as well as their 3 perks each. So, starting off with Rick Grimes, we have the brand new perk, Apocalyptic Ingenuity. After locking or rummaging through 2 chests, press the active ability 1 for 8 seconds next to a broken pallet to build a fragile pallet. You see the auras of broken pallets within 32 meters at best, and fragile pallets are destroyed upon being dropped. So they're very similar to how Freddy's Dream pallets or the Anniversary Party pallets work, where they are a one-time use and shatter upon being used, so you gotta be very careful. After that, we have Come and Get Me. After unhooking a survivor while crouched and idle, press the ability 1 button to make injured and dying survivors within 24 meters, leave no scratch marks or pools of blood for 15 seconds at best. Doing so will cause you to scream, and the killer will see your aura for 5 seconds. Kind of like a helpful attention-grabbing perk to make the killer go after you rather than the person nearby. After that, we have a brand new Teamwork perk. It's been a while since we had one of these. When another survivor pallet stuns or blinds the killer while you are injured within 24 meters, your grunts of pain, scratch marks, and pools of blood are reduced by 100% for the next 30 seconds at best. After that, we have Michonne Grimes and her 3 perks. So, since Michonne is disabled in the public test build currently, we're going to be using legally distinct Michonne. Starting up, we have Conviction. After you have healed 1 survivor, while down to at least 25% recovery, press the active ability 2 button to recover instantly. However, you gain broken, and then after the next 30 seconds at best, you are then downed once again. It's worth noting you do not scream during this time, you are just simply put down quietly. This one could be quite useful if you manage to get the time to use it, granting you a good chance to get away. Even if you're put somewhere else, the killer will be unaware of your whereabouts. After that, we have Last Stand. After spending 60 seconds in the killer's terror radius at best, while not in a chase, when you fast vault, stun the killer for 3 seconds if they are within 2.5 meters. It is worth noting that specifically the killer must be in front of you, not behind you, in order for this to trigger. This is a one-time use, and then the perk will be disabled for the rest of the trial. It's also worth noting that you could potentially save a survivor after being picked up by the killer while using this. If the survivor happens to be down in front of the window, and they are able to be picked up there, vaulting the window from the opposite side will more than likely save that survivor from being carried. After that, we have Teamwork Throwdown. When you pallet stun or blind the killer, other injured survivors within 24 meters gain endurance and see the killer's aura for 10 seconds at best. This one is not that great, in my personal opinion, but I can understand the value of it. But if you're stunning or blinding the killer, those 10 seconds will likely already be gone by the time the killer is able to reach that survivor. Alright, so moving on to the killer buffs, we are starting off with Pyramid Head. Yes, finally, after fucking forever, Pyramid Head is finally getting some much needed buffs, as well as to more enhance his add-on variety. So, starting up, we are increasing the punishment of the dam's range from 8 meters to 10 meters. So they're basically building in both of the range add-ons directly into the base kit. On top of that, they are also increasing the maximum rights of judgment duration from 5 seconds to 10 seconds. What this basically means is you'll be able to draw trails for twice the amount of time as before. However, it's worth noting that does not mean the recharge rate is the same. You would basically be recharging double the amount of time required as the old variant. After that, they are increasing the rights of judgment trail lifetime from 75 to 90 seconds. This is very nice improvement. To compensate this just a tiny bit, they are decreasing the Rights of Judgment movement speed from 4.4 to 4.2, so it's only a 5% reduction, not a big deal at all. And finally, just to make it a little bit more cohesent, survivors who were rescued from the cage now gain 10% haste and endurance for 10 seconds, just like how you would be on a hook. They've also reworked every single one of his add-ons, and I am not going to be running through them here. If you would like to look, I'll put it on screen for you to read yourself. Next up for the killer changes, we have the Clown. They are increasing the haste effect of the Afterpiece Antidote from 10% to 12%. They are also increasing the spread of the Afterpiece Antidote Clouds. And also one of the more nicer ones, they are decreasing the time it takes for the Afterpiece Antidote gas clouds to activate from 2 seconds to 1 second, so they are barely any time at all for it to activate. However, to compensate on the enhancements to the Afterpiece Antidote, they are doing some changes to the tonic. So, they are decreasing the hindered effect that the Afterpiece tonic inflicts from 15% to 12%, and they are also decreasing the hindered effect linger time from the Afterpiece tonic gas clouds from 2 seconds to 1 second. With this, I would say they're significantly less effective, but not enough to make them useless. It's kind of a more mere balancing out point. However, in terms of enhancements, they are increasing the movement speed while reloading from 1.61 to 2.3 meters a second, so you get a lot more movement speed while doing so. And they are also decreasing the time it takes to reload from 3 seconds to 2.5 seconds, so reloading is much less of a chore now. Alright, after that we're moving on to some of the pig changes. Now, to be honest, a lot of these aren't very noticeable when it comes to comparison, so I'm just going to show you the current new changes. So, starting off, we have the increased ambush movement speed, where they are changing it from 7.9 meters a second to 7.1 meters a second, so that's an additional 10% movement speed compared to the base ones. After that, they're increasing the crouched movement speed from 3.8 to 4.0 meters a second, meaning you now are identical to Survivor sprinting speed while you're crouched. They're also decreasing the time it takes to crouch and uncrouch from 1 second to 0.8 seconds. This is actually more noticeable than you might think. And finally, they are increasing the rate at which the terror radius fades when crouching from 0.25 to 0.33, meaning your terror radius is going to fade a bit quicker when you're entering the crouch state. Alright, moving on to my boy the Knight, one of my main bread slices. Getting some nice attunements here. So, starting off, they are increasing the maximum patrol path length from 32 meters to 38 meters, meaning you're going to get just a little bit more distance on the max length. After that, they are increasing the patrol path creation speed from 13.8 meters a second to 15 meters a second, so it's going to be a little bit more faster just in drawing the line in general. After that, they have doubled the patrol path acceleration, meaning that you're going to pick up full speed twice as fast, compared to if you were to get stuck on something or if you were to stop, it would be a little bit slower acceleration to build to full speed again. After that, they're increasing the strafe speed while creating a patrol path from 25% to 100%, meaning you just get a lot more control while doing so. However, there are some adjustments to the standard spawn times for all 4 guards, where they are starting off by adjusting the Carnifex's standard spawn time from 5 to 8 seconds, a slight nice increase. However, they are decreasing the time it takes for the Assassin standard to spawn from 5 seconds to 4 seconds, which isn't that major. However, they are also heavily decreasing the time it takes for the Jailer standard to spawn from 10 seconds to 4 seconds. That is a big difference, especially when you remember the fact that the longer your trail is, you can get up to a 50% longer standard spawn time for all guards. So Jailer not only went from 10 to 4, he went up from a potential 15 down to a potential 6. Alright, next up we're going to be talking about the Survivor item related changes, starting off with the brand new item, the Fog Vial. The Fog Vial is basically a giant smokescreen bomb, where you can press and use the item button to release a cloud of fog, suppressing scratch marks and auras and decreasing visibility and audio sounds within its radius, and it recharges over time. Each Fog Vial will have the following parameters, having 1 charge, has 33% opacity, and has a 10 meter radius. However, the stats of which on the duration of the fog, the time it takes to recharge, and the time it takes to reach its maximum size is all variant depending on the rarity. So I'm going to be using the highest rarity as an example, the Vigo's Fog Vial at the rare rarity. So this one, for example, reaches a maximum size after 1.2 seconds, has a total duration of 12 seconds, and recharges 60 seconds after use. So, as it having a recharge, meaning that the Fog Vials are an infinite use item, you just have to wait a certain amount of duration before the time passes. And like it mentioned before, it suppresses scratch marks and auras, meaning that if you were inside the fog cloud, your aura cannot be read by anybody else, nor the killer, and vice versa. It is worth noting though that the visibility blockage isn't that major. It's not something that you would expect from the void crystals that we had in the 2v8 event. These ones are meant to be much more frequently used, hence why they had to tone down the effectiveness of it. It's better off using it when you have time to block off line of sight beforehand rather than doing it out in the open, because it's very easy to actually still spot the environment, including the survivor within. There are also several add-ons being added for it, but I'm not going to be going over them here, so I'll put a list on screen if you're curious to read them yourself. So coming up next, we have the rework for the key items. So instead of being completely useless without certain add-ons, like most of them are, unless it's the skeleton key where you can open up the hatch, so now all keys will have the ability to use the item button to start channeling the key. Once fully channeled, it will consume 1 charge to reveal the auras of survivors in range for a set duration. Also, while you're near a locked chest, you can use the item button to quickly open the chest on an uncommon key or higher, which will also consume 1 charge and guarantees an item of rare rarity or higher. In addition to this, unlocking a chest with a key reveals its aura in yellow to other survivors within range. One other survivor can rummage through the unlocked chest once, and it guarantees also a rare rarity or higher item. And also, while doing this, performing the rummage action, the rummaging survivor's aura appears to the key holder. And finally, when near a closed hatch, press the Use Item button to unlock it, only on uncommon keys or higher. This will also consume 1 charge, and the key is no longer destroyed upon survivor completing interaction and escaping the trial. So as you can see, keys now have uses in all cases, regardless of what rarity they are. They can be used for many different purposes now, as well as also being used numerous times, because as you saw it said it consumes charges. Keys now function under usages, meaning that the keys will have a certain amount of uses rather than a total time limit that you can use the item. As it said before, completing these actions will consume 1 charge, meaning the rarity of your key will determine how many charges you have. Not only that, it'll also determine the range at which you can reveal the survivor's auras, as well as how long they'll be revealed to you. Once again, there's another bundle of add-on changes, as lots of them got retired and lots of new ones got introduced, so I'll put them on screen for you to read for yourself. So coming up after that, we have the rework for the map items. They function now similar to how the keys have changed, where they have a certain amount of usage and they can use the item button to start channeling the map. Similar to how you reveal the survivor's auras for a certain duration. Once fully channeled, you will consume 1 charge to reveal the auras of windows and pallets within a certain range for a set duration. Hey guys, check it out, they turned the training wheels perk into a fucking item. On top of that, while revealing auras, you can press and use the item button again to create a beam of light at your location. Generators within 32 meters of this beam of light are revealed to all survivors, and the beam of light is only visible and audible to survivors. Also similar to the keys, the rarity of the map will also determine how far you can see the auras of windows and pallets, as well as for how long, that and also the amount of charges the item will have. And just like before, there's been a lot of add-on changes, as well as some new ones and old ones being removed, so here's a list if you're curious. Alright, so now we're moving on to the perk changes. So it's worth noting a large majority of these perk changes are actually just numerical and very minor values, so there's not going to be much visual display for me to give you, but I will show you what I can. So starting off with Insidious, they're decreasing the time it takes to activate from 4, 3, and 2 seconds to 3, 2, and 1 seconds. After that we have Hubris, where they are just simply increasing the duration of the expose effect from 10, 15, and 20 to 20, 25, and 30 seconds, with a solid 10-second increase for all levels. After that, we got Dragon's Grip, where they are just decreasing the cooldown from 60, 50, and 40 seconds to 60, 45, and 30 seconds. Coming up next, we got Scourge Hook Hangman's Trick, where they are increasing the aura reading range from 8, 10, and 12 to 12, 14, and 16 meters. Next up, we have Franklin's Demise. They are increasing the aura reading range from 32 meters flat to 32, 48, and 64 meters. However, they are also making it so that the items dropped no longer lose charges over time. Finally, we actually have a rework for this one for Overwhelming Presence. Instead of just increasing the item consumption rate by 100% for items within 32 meters, instead now, when a survivor uses an item within 32 meters of you, they will gain the exhausted status effect for 15 seconds, and when a survivor within 32 meters of you gains exhausted by any means, you see the closest exhausted survivor's aura for 2, 3, and 4 seconds, and this perk has a 25-second cooldown. Moving on to the survivor perks, we're starting off with Potential Energy. They're making it so that it no longer requires a minimum time spent repairing before you can activate it, which used to be 12, 10, and 8 seconds, and they are decreasing the amount of repair required to earn a token from 1.5% to 1%. This now means you get an equal value charge for every 1% you do, and also the amount that's transferred into the perk. Following up, we have Any Means Necessary. They are simply just decreasing the time it takes to raise a dropped pallet from 6, 5, and 4 seconds to 5, 4, and 3 seconds. Next up, we got Better Together. The aura of the generator you're repairing no longer has a range limit. They're also increasing the duration you see all survivors' auras when a survivor gets down from 8, 9, and 10 seconds to 20, 25, and 30 seconds, a hefty increase. Coming after that, we got Still Sight. They're decreasing the time it takes to activate from 6, 5, and 4 seconds to 4, 3, and 2 seconds, a nice 50% decrease. Next is Built to Last. They are decreasing the time spent in a locker in order to activate from 14, 13, and 12 seconds to 12, 10, and 8 seconds. Coming up next, we have Appraisal. They've increased the number of tokens that you can have from 3 to 4, and each chest can now be rummaged twice, which used to be once. After that, we have Detective's Hunch, where they are increasing the aura reading range for any objects within the completed generator's range from 10 seconds to 20 seconds, and maps no longer track reveal objects because they function differently, and same with Deja Vu, where it will no longer track revealed generators. Coming up last, we have another rework actually for Streetwise. Instead of just decreasing the item charge consumption rate on all items within 12 meters by 25%, it is now going to make it so that the first time you deplete an item with charges, you see the killer's aura for 8 seconds, and items with charges retrieved from chests will have an additional 60, 70, and 80% charges. Alright, one final thing is they're doing a slight change to the preset system. They are adjusting the number of loadout presets and cosmetic presets up to 7. Players are also now able to use a drop-down to choose which one they want to use, and, most importantly, presets can now be renamed. And of course, loadout and cosmetic presets remain separated, so you can have them individual, just as you had before, and have them all named in your own way. Alright, and that's going to do it for this patch note video for the 9.1.0 update. There was certainly an excessive amount of changes happening in this one, especially let alone with the new items as well as the 2 reworks happening. And I've been succumbed to far too much brain rot in one sitting, just like my Polish VTuber wife. Anyways, if you enjoyed this, usual YouTuber nonsense, comment saying what you think, and sub if you haven't already. I would appreciate that, and I'm gonna go fucking lay down because I am just way too tired, so I'll see you guys all in the next one.
Oh, shit.